It's Flashcard Fridays here at Math Science History. I'm your host, Gabrielle Birchak, and today we're going to be looking into a problem that many of us have experienced. Why do airline prices seem to jump around, sometimes within minutes after we search for a flight? Stay tuned, you'll learn more after a word from our advertisers. So, you're looking for an airline ticket and you check once, it's $278. You think, maybe I'll wait a few hours, talk to my loved one. You check again, it's $348. You wait a little bit longer and it's $292. What's going on here? Is your browser spying on you? Of course it is. But are you being punished for hesitating? Of course you are. Let's unpack this, pun intended, using the lenses of mathematics, behavioral science, and a bit of airline economics. So, let's first look at the math behind airline pricing. Starting with the basics, airlines use dynamic pricing models, which means the cost of a seat on a flight isn't fixed. It changes constantly based on algorithms. These algorithms take into account the following: time before departure, supply and demand, past sales patterns, competition, weather and seasonality, and sometimes even the type of customer making the search. The math behind this is rooted in something called revenue management, a field developed heavily in the airline industry during the 1980s. It uses statistical modeling and probability to predict how many seats should be sold at each price point to maximize profit. Here's how it works in practice. Flights are divided into fare classes, like buckets. Each class represents a different price level and often comes with its own rules: non-refundable, baggage limits, etc. If the lowest fare bucket sells out, you move up to the next one. Even if there are 100 seats on a plane, only a few may be allocated to the cheapest fare bucket. The airline's pricing algorithm estimates, based on historical data, when to release more of these cheaper fares or pull them back. All right, now let's look at the behavioral psychology and perceived scarcity of the issue. Why do you see the price go up after you search? Part of that is the airline reacting to demand signals. Each time someone searches for a particular route, especially multiple people around the same time, the algorithm reads that as increased interest. It might raise the price in response. Some travel sites also track your searches through cookies and browser history. While it's not confirmed that prices are raised deliberately on second searches, what's happening is a bit more nuanced. Your cookies may place you in a customer segment that gets shown a slightly different fare, perhaps assuming you are more willing to pay. There's also the idea of loss aversion. When you see the price jump $50, your brain kicks into FOMO mode. That's fear of missing out. You think, I should have bought it earlier. And the next time you're quicker to hit that book now button. The system has trained you to respond. This is an intentional psychological mechanism. We see this in other industries too, like Uber's surge in pricing or Amazon's "only 3 left in stock" pop-ups. Those are annoying. Okay, now let's look at the supply, demand, and fare buckets. Imagine a flight from LAX to JFK has 150 seats. The airline might have 10 seats at 200, 20 seats at 250, and 30 seats at 300, and so on, climbing all the way up to $900 for the last-minute traveler. If you and 5 other people are looking at that $250 fare at the same time, and 2 people book it, you might get kicked up to the next fare tier. Even if you didn't book, the system has no way of knowing, so it adjusts pricing in real time. Also, if you're flying during a holiday, weekend, or Monday morning when business travelers typically book, the algorithms tighten inventory and raise prices faster. In short, these fare buckets aren't just economic, they're behavioral. Now let's look at the cookies, algorithms, and the browser game. Let's bust a myth. Do cookies really make prices go up? This is controversial. While there's no hard evidence that airlines or reputable booking engines deliberately hike prices on repeat views, Many people swear they've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. What's more likely is that the flight inventory changed in the few minutes between your searches, your session expired and reloaded with different fare data, or you're being shown a slightly different fare because the site has now profiled you differently. Your browser can track your behavior, and some less reputable sites have been caught experimenting with dynamic pricing based on user data. So here's a pro tip. Use an incognito or private browsing window when searching for flights. It won't prevent fare updates due to inventory changes, but it can reduce tracking. Finally, what can you do to outsmart the system? Now that we understand what's happening behind the scenes, how can you work with this system rather than against it? Well, first, clear your cookies or use incognito mode. This prevents sites from tracking your search history and showing altered prices. 2, use fare alert tools like Google Flights, Hopper, or Skyscanner. These track fares over time and notify you when to book. 3, book on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Statistically, this is when fares are lowest because airlines release deals at the start of the week and competitors match them. 4, check multiple booking sites. Prices can differ between Expedia, Google Flights, and the airline's own website and travel agents. 5, look at the calendar. Booking 6 to 8 weeks ahead for domestic and 2 to 3 months ahead for international tends to be the sweet spot. 6, avoid booking on the weekend. This is when demand is high and prices often spike. If you're a frequent flyer, consider using airline miles or loyalty programs to take advantage of price drops and seat upgrades. Finally, the bigger picture here. Airlines as tech companies. Airlines today aren't just transportation providers, they are software companies in disguise. Yep. They invest millions into tech that lets them adjust prices in milliseconds, predict your buying behavior, analyze competitor prices across platforms, and trigger sales and promotions based on demand patterns. So you're not just buying a seat, you are entering a game of predictive analytics and behavioral economics. So the next time you see a flight price bounce up and down like a yo-yo, know this: it's not random. It's the result of decades of research in economics, psychology, and data science all converging in your browser window. And just like you wouldn't play poker without knowing the rules, don't book a flight without understanding the game. So here are some key takeaways. Airline prices change due to dynamic pricing algorithms based on demand, timing, and fare inventory. Your searches may signal demand to the system, which can affect pricing even within minutes. Using incognito mode and fare trackers helps avoid psychological pricing traps. And understanding fare buckets and booking windows gives you the upper hand in snagging the best deal. Thank you for tuning in to Flashcard Fridays at Math Science History. And until next time, may you find the best fare for your next trip. Carpe diem, my friends.